We're really working on trying to get the, the feel for all of, the new hockey team, really introduce y'all to Seattle's fan base, the Kraken fan base, but also this like new group of fans that are coming in specifically to watch y'all do your thing. So I have a few questions here, just again to get the fans to know you. Um, Specifically talking around your goaltending and your passion for hockey and where that came from. So if I read that you became a goalie volunteering to step in when someone else got hurt. What made you stick with it? What made you like really fall into the goalie role?
Yeah, my older sibling was actually a goalie at the time, so I think part of me kind of wanted to be like them, having a little bit of admiration as the youngest. Uh, but I think right as soon as I stepped into it, I really just loved the position. I think my dad always tells me that I had a little bit of kind of a sense for it and just an ability right off the bat. But I really liked that I got to play the whole game. I'm a super competitive person, and just the thought of being able to help my team get a win was really big for me, and I have loved it ever since.
Yeah, I think you spoke about being competitive during the draft. And I feel like, that works perfectly because you're the last line of defense, right? Especially for like those big moments. Do you see yourself as like naturally calm in those places, or like do you feel like hockey taught you that calmness?
I think I'm generally a pretty laid back person, so I think there is a certain amount of calmness that I just get inherently from my personality, but I also think through the years of playing hockey and a lot of highs and lows, I've definitely learned a little bit of perspective and how important it is to just stay level-headed in the net. And I think that's something that's really helped me.
Yeah, for the new hockey fans, for someone who's never watched hockey, right? Which I'm hoping that we get a lot of those folks in. How would you explain in your own words and just like with how you've grown up being a goaltender, what makes goaltending special?
I think you kind of touched on that like last line of defense piece, just as someone that the team relies on so heavily that can come up big in important moments and really change the momentum with a big save, or getting a whistle for teammates, allowing them to kind of reset, and kind of try and shift that momentum in the favor of our team.
Yeah, yeah, with that, like you were also captain at Colgate, right? Which is, to my understanding, which is rare for a goalie. How do you approach leading from the crease and being present in those big moments?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from my kind of style of play and that calmness that you touched on. I think this past year at Colgate, we had a lot of a younger roster compared to years previous. So being able to kind of lead by example, and give my teammates a sense of confidence and calmness from the net out, I think was really important this past year and really helped me lead in that sense.
Um, the roster for Seattle is a mix of, that youth and also you have a very strong veteran presence. What part of your leadership style from, growing up as the goaltender, do you want to bring to the locker room?
Um, it's definitely going to be a switch up going from, being that kind of seasoned leadership player to now being one of the youngest on the team. But I think I can bring all of those kind of same skills, that calmness in the net, even as a rookie in this league, I think will help instill confidence in this new team where, none of us have really played together in this capacity before. So I think that'll be really exciting.
Yeah. You mentioned, that switch up, going from college to PWHL. What do you think is the biggest adjustment you're preparing for, into the PWHL?
I think a little bit the pace of play is definitely an adjustment, from what I've heard from other players that have made the transition. And then just this being the central focus, I think prior to this league, there was always kind of the thing in the back of the mind that hockey's not forever and couldn't be a forever job. But now that there is a fully functioning and viable professional women's hockey league, this is everyone's full-time focus, and I'm really excited for that kind of transition. So not necessarily something that I'm nervous for, but excited to be able to pour into this 100%.
You made, yeah, sorry, you made history. You know, you're talking about that transition, also the pace of play being part of the one of the first professional leagues, or I guess not one of the first, but you know, a new professional league. Um, do you and being drafted into a brand new team as Seattle's first goalie draft in the rookie draft, do you feel pressure from that, or is it just excitement? How do you feel just in general?
I think a lot of excitement, especially seeing the passion already from the fan base, and we haven't even touched the ice yet in Seattle. Obviously, it is a super high performing stage, and there is a certain amount of pressure that comes with that, but it's something that I've worked my whole life towards, and that's kind of allowed me to gain a certain amount of confidence in my abilities along the way.
Have you ever been to Seattle before, or is this a new experience for you?
It is new, but I actually went out this past week for the first time to help with the hockey camps, which was really nice. I'm glad I was able to get my feet wet a little bit in the Seattle culture and find my way around a little bit. And then to get to meet some of our season ticket holders and young fans was really exciting as well.
Did you get to explore any like big parts of the city? Anything that really caught your eye?
Yes, we toured around quite a bit. So I did kind of most of the touristy Seattle things. We went to the Pike Place Market, took a ferry across to Bainbridge Island and went up in the Space Needle. So those were all awesome, different touristy things, but then also we got to attend a Seahawks game and really get a feel for that Seattle sports culture, which we're now going to be a part of, which was really exciting. And then obviously helping out with the hockey camps and seeing all of those young girls and stuff looking up to us is really exciting.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned the Seahawks. I'm not a big American football fan, or at least I didn't grow up being a big American football fan, but I know, you know, the Seahawks fans specifically, incredibly loud, incredibly passionate. Like that entire arena, or what is it? It's not an arena, whatever it's called, the field, is like set up to make the fans louder, right? How do you imagine that support impacting you on the ice?
Unbelievably. College is a whole nother stage where obviously we have a certain amount of fans that come out to our games, but just realizing how passionate these fans are and just the sheer number of fans that we're going to have at our games this year is really exciting. Um, yeah, it seems like we're going to have a good start to a fan base, even in year one, and I just hope to see that continue to grow.
Yeah, if you could, you know, have just a quick resounding message for people that are still learning women's pro hockey, what would you tell them to get them come to these games?
Um, I don't know if there's one thing in particular, but just kind of the excitement that there is from players within the league because this is so new. Like we're all just so excited to be a part of this. And to meet those fans, it makes our day just as much as it makes theirs. So I hope to see some more fans out in the community once we move out to Seattle this fall.
And you know, talking about, you know, kind of breaking a lot of these barriers and supporting the youth camp this week. What does it mean to you to be part of a new era of hockey, not just, you know, nationwide in women's sports, but in Seattle as well?
It's awesome, I think, talking to some of the adults that were in the camp and realizing how much the sport has really grown in Seattle over the past few years is really exciting. I think with the Kraken coming in a couple years ago now, and now us continuing to jump off that momentum of hockey on the West Coast is really exciting. So that's fun to be a part of.
And I have one final question. But before I ask it, is there anything, that you wanted to add? Anything that I haven't asked you already that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you're starting out this year. So this might be something you maybe haven't thought about, but like, where do you see your career in 5 years, right? Like, is this focused on Seattle? Are you chasing, a national team role, something else?
Yeah, something definitely that I want to set my sights on is playing for the Canadian national team at some point, but that's not a year-round thing, but the PW is. So I really want to pour all my attention and energy into being the best that I can in the professional levels. So obviously I've signed a 2-year contract and will be in Seattle hopefully for the next 2 years, but I would love to continue that afterwards. I really see the sport growing in the city and I would love to be a part of that.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had. Again, welcome to Washington State, really. Best place
Thank
in the
you.
world. If you ever out in Central Washington and need like good recommendations, we got them. Listen, there's more
Okay.
city than just Seattle. That's all I got to say. But yeah, that's really all I had.
Hello there, everybody. Charles Hamaker here with Circling Seattle Sports. I'm joined by Jen Barnes of Rough and Tumble that we happen to be at right now.
Yeah.
Jen, why don't you talk to me a little bit about what we're announcing today, which is our partnership.
I'm so excited about this. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I think all of us here at Rough and Tumble are big fans of what you and your team at Circling Seattle Sports does. And so, I know you know this, but when you came to me with this idea, it just seemed pretty natural. And it's not just me. I think a lot of people in the sports community in Seattle also really respect you and your team. So it's exciting to kind of see these two things melding together, and we're really excited to start implementing some of the things and then hopefully seeing you guys a little bit more often.
Yeah, and so with what Jen says about seeing us more often, we've got a few things in the works, but you'll see watch parties here. We'd like to do a few different of our community drives, which you'll hear about here in a little bit from now. We've got to make our announcements one at a time. I can't drop everything.
Not everything
Right.
all at once.
But this has been a home for a lot of our team, whether it's myself, our friend, our photographer Liz is behind the camera. Liz is here often, so our team has kind of adopted this place kind of like our own since I saw you at our soft launch. So, it's been great to have that support. And in a lot of ways, and part of the reason I wanted to do this was the Rough and Tumble embodies a lot of what Circling Seattle Sports wants to do. Obviously with women's sports, with the storm and the rain, but just being, having the game on, every game on.
Yep.
How much of that, did you see a line kind of even before this idea was mentioned when I first met you?
I think it's always felt like that. I mean, you and your team were here on opening night, and you just feel like you're part of the space, so it felt like really natural. And the fact that you actually cover all of the sports really makes your group stand out. So you are always covering all the rain games, all the storm games. You'd have women's softball, you'd have women's basketball, you'd have women's hockey. We love it. So all of those things, and obviously passionate M's fans, passionate Hawks fans, and passionate Kraken and Sounders fans. So really, from our perspective, those two things meshed really well.
So, you heard it from Jen herself, but this will be our home for all of these events, whether it's you can't make it to these games at home, we're always going to direct you to Rough and Tumble, and obviously the games on the road as well. All these, we're talking about the rain, they've got their schedule out finally,
Yeah, yep.
but this will be our home for that.
Great.
The storm games on the road, this is our home.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
I love it.
And when I mentioned it to Jen, when I first had this idea come up, I had this idea come up wearing a pink wig.
Yes, you did.
Ahead of Megan Rapinoe's final regular season home game for the Reign this past year.
Yeah.
I told her it's because I wanted this to feel genuine.
Yep.
I wanted a connection to feel genuine, and it does.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, and I'm so excited to finally announce this partnership.
I can't wait.